This is not the same. Rude and racist are not the same.
Do you want him to grow up to be a footballer like his dad or a singer like Mariah Carey?
But I'm hoping that he'll grow up to be a footballer like his dad, and I'd like to grow up and be a singer like Mariah Carey.
Victoria Beckham, posh spice, fashion icon and pop legend, is not someone who needs celebrity friends to stay relevant. She is one of the most talked about women in Britain, and she too has come face to face with the dragon that is the British tabloids. However, she has effortlessly navigated her way through oodles of negative headlines and always come out on top. It may surprise you to find out just what makes handling the media so easy for Posh Spice and so challenging for Moany Spice, Meghan Markle. Let's get to the crunch. In the saga that is the Beckhams versus the Sussexes, the secret is out that the Beckhams have a bit of beef with the whinge and whingests of Montecito. They are the latest high-profile couple to publicly join the queue in the long line of Meghan and Harry haters. The Beckhams picked their allegiance early on in the war between the British monarchy and the Sussexes, when Meghan and Harry did not receive an invite to the A-lister wedding of Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz. Allegedly, at the time, the Beckhams were forced to make the agonizing decision between inviting the Sussexes or the Prince and Princess of Wales, knowing they could only invite both couples in the case of hell freezing over. They chose the Prince and Princess of Wales, opening up a new deep trauma wound of rejection that the Sussexes are probably still upset about to this day. But, oh no, FOMO struck the Sussexes again when, more recently, they were left off the guest list at the Beckhams' huge American soccer event. In attendance were some big hitter names like Serena Williams, Kim Kardashian and LeBron James. The Sussexes were also noticeably absent from Serena Williams' gender reveal party earlier this week. It's going from bad to worse for the Duke and Duchess, losing friends faster than a high-speed car chase through the desert. Not New York City. But just where are they going so wrong? By analysing clips from Victoria's earlier career, we will notice something that might hold the key to her long reign at the top of pop culture. It may surprise you to find out which valuable characteristic Victoria has that Meghan severely lacks. On a British TV show called Jonathan Ross in 2003, Victoria was asked some of the most brutal questions she ever had to face about alleged feuds, her body image, and the media attention surrounding her terrible singing voice. There is one thing that stands out in the way she responds to extremely challenging and degrading questions. Let's have a look and see if you can pick out the one thing that she does that helps her stay in control of the conversation.
Do you read the tabloids? Do you look? I mean, you must be aware of this stuff, I imagine.
I think it can be hurtful and it's inaccurate and it hurts our families, but generally speaking, I don't let it really hurt me, because I mean, 1 minute they're being really nice and you become an uncontrollable big head, and then the next minute, you know, they're writing you off. So
she admits it is difficult to deal with bad press, but she adds just a touch of humor, claiming that even positive media can force you to become really big-headed. She actually states you can become an uncontrollable big-head. Her use of the word uncontrollable exaggerates the problem and insinuates that it's just as ridiculous to pay attention to the good media as it is to pay attention to the bad media. What does Meghan do when she is faced with some bad press? Well, step one is sue Susie Q. She sued Associated Newspapers for printing part of a private letter she had written to her father. It was later revealed, however, in Tom Bower's book Revenge, that the letter she had sent to her father had been constructed in a collaborative effort with her communications secretary at the time, in the hope and knowledge that it would eventually be leaked to the press. It was a setup. She received a whopping £1, or about $1.30 in damages from the newspaper. A whole £1. Well done, Meghan. Step 2 is to try and censor anyone who is saying anything bad about her.
Freedom of speech. I believe in the right to be allowed to have an opinion. If people want to believe Meghan Markle, that's entirely their right. I don't believe almost anything that comes out of her mouth.
She wants to live in a world where only good things can be discussed, true or false, like that of the fictitious world of Barbieland. I'll do a video going deeper into this soon.
The best day ever.
It is the best day ever. So is yesterday, and so is tomorrow, and every day from now till forever.
Meghan might have been involved in Pierce's decision to leave the show. The 39-year-old former Suits star lodged a formal complaint with ITV in response to Pierce's comments about her mental health.
And I think that's what's so key too, is as we talk about positivity and optimism and what a healthy online community looks like.
Victoria is then faced with some really harsh criticism of her ability to make good music. One thing to bear in mind is that she is on the show to promote her new music. She's gone solo from the Spice Girls, she's on her own, and she's there to promote it. She takes the very harsh personal jibes at her talent on the chin.
You do get knocked for your music all the time, and you've got a nice enough voice, but it's not one of those voices like a Beyonce where people go, wow, is it? And it's never going to be.
No, I agree.
Why don't you give up singing? No, hold on. I didn't mean that to sound as mean as you did. Do you know what I mean?
No,
here?
I know exactly what you mean.
She lets the comments wash over her, and she doesn't disagree with them on Jonathan Ross here. It's difficult to compare this directly to Meghan, as she has never had to face such direct criticism. However, we can look at a moment when she discusses the dangers of negative comments on social media. She uses inflammatory language, she exaggerates the problem.
Getting more clicks when people are hate clicking on things, then without question you are perpetuating a cycle. You're becoming indoctrinated. You're becoming conditioned to be cruel.
Suggesting somewhat ridiculous solutions.
Seems like such an easy solve. You look at Instagram, for example. There's a like button or there's comments. So you have to, if you disagree with it, comment in a really vitriolic way, as opposed to if there was just a dislike button.
But also blaming, once again, something else for any negative press she may have received.
And there has to be responsibility that lands somewhere, and that must be with the platforms, with some, you know.
It is not that she may have done something stupid, but rather that the tabloid media has shone a negative light on her or her actions. Victoria pretty much throws her hands up and states, yes, you're right, I'm not the best singer, knowing that there has been hundreds and hundreds of articles written about her, slating her talentless. Meghan is suggesting that the only reason for any negative media about her is because people want to write negative things, as it's much more lucrative, and the onus should lie on the media outlets or social media platforms to mitigate these negative articles. Whether they are true or false is not the question. For Meghan, it's just a case of whether they are flattering or nasty. Victoria's first line of defense is humor and Meghan's cancel culture. Somebody should maybe think about letting little Meghan know that if you place yourself in the media, you are placing yourself in the line of fire. Never has a public figure existed on this earth that has not been the subject of some negative press. She is not the first to have unfavourable media coverage, and she won't be the last, but she certainly is the most ridiculous. One person said, as if Victoria Beckham would waste her time leaking rubbish about a rubbish celebrity, she's got better things to do. So if you've not been following this story, it's actually a bit of an old story that's resurfaced recently. Allegedly, what happened was Victoria Beckham had given Meghan lots of help around the time of her wedding, helping her with her hairdresser, makeup, clothing, etc. And somehow details of Meghan's hairdresser were leaked to the press. And of course, immediately Meghan thought it was Victoria Beckham leaking these stories to the press to make money. Now, what happened was Harry called David Beckham and accused their family of leaking these stories, which is just so ludicrous. I can't even begin to start. The idea that Victoria Beckham, who has been under the media scrutiny for so long, would first of all feel the need to release private information about Meghan for money is ridiculous. And secondly, she, if anyone, knows what it's like to have stories leaked about her constantly. So If anyone was to not do this, it would be Victoria Beckham. Where they were really hurt, the Beckhams, was because they had been helping Meghan and Harry, Meghan particularly, in the run-up to the wedding. They were invited to the wedding, but they weren't invited to the dinner. So they were kind of shunned the bigger part of the wedding, and they'd really given a lot of help. So they felt like they weren't thanked for all the help that they had given the Sussexes. And on top of that, they were being blamed the leaks in the press about something so stupid as a hairdresser, which it's so ridiculous. Talk about being paranoid. Of course, it wasn't Harry. Harry's been good friends with the Beckhams for the longest time. And suddenly the Beckhams are some sort of incognito leakers of information. Someone else said, of course, the Beckhams distanced themselves. David is so patriotic. There is no way he would have supported Harry, and Meghan is simply not to Victoria's taste. Now, there is also another theory in here that David Beckham is desperate for a knighthood. He's desperate to be called Sir David Beckham. And so he is erring on the side of caution. But I do believe they've had a very strong relationship with the royal family. They're probably very grateful for it. Whenever you hear Victoria talking about her history and her time with the Spice Girls and her rise to fame, you can hear that she is tangibly still very grateful for the opportunity she's been given, and she is well aware that one day it could slip through her fingers like the click of a hat and they will be replaced as the biggest couple in British media.
But it's all good. I feel very blessed and very lucky, and I'm having fun.
The relationship that they have had for a long time with the royal family would not be put into jeopardy because of one little person, shall we say, and it's not Harry. Someone else said, thin-skinned, very common amongst the younger generation, but reading your own press and worrying about what people say about you is a sign of immaturity and paranoia. And I think this really is the crux of the problem with the Sussexes. They are immature, paranoid. The case is not that they are the only people to be subjected to some negative media. It happens if you are in the limelight, but they are handling it terribly. Hit the like button if you think Meghan could learn a thing or two from Posh Spice, and subscribe to our channel to help the Crown family blossom. See you down in the comments.